Hello folks, so we've reached Thursday and that's the last lesson in this week because tomorrow's a holiday. So I thought what we'd do today is just keep the lesson as short as we can because some of them have been quite long. We'll skip starters for today. Remember you've got an assignment that's due on Tuesday, so don't forget about that. Please just give me a shout if there's anything in there that you're not sure about. So what we've been looking at this week is wages and salaries, which included things like hourly rate, overtime, salary, pension, tax, national insurance. We looked at household expenditure and what are necessities and what are luxuries. We've looked at saving and bank accounts. We talked about words like credit, debit, overdraft, direct debit, standing orders. So today what we're going to look at is creating a budget, and we're going to think about this question: if we've got time, can we afford the holiday and new car? So we'll see how we get on. Okay, so when we're creating a budget, there is lots to think about. Now we need to know what budget actually means. So a budget is where you basically look at your finances and see what you've got. So you need to look at what you've got coming in every month, and you need to look at what's going out every month, and you need to make certain assurances that you will have enough money to live that month. Okay, so rather than randomly trying to think of all the things that we spend money on and all the things that we've got coming in, it's easier to use what's called a budgeting tool. Okay, so what we've got here is basically just a worksheet to fill in, and at the end of that it'll help us get a clear picture of what our finances are. Okay, so again, I know this has been quite a wordy week, and this is just explaining to you how to fill in a budget worksheet. Okay, so let's look at this for, let's say, June. Oops. Okay, so we're going to go through. We can see on this side it's all income, so the amount that's coming into the house, and on this side we've got the amount that's going out of the house. Okay, so we're just going to make up these numbers as we're going along, and we'll see how we get on. I'm just gonna, no, I'm not. I thought I might be able to rub those zeros out at the bottom, but I can't. Right, okay, so let's have a look then. Let's say that this person earns, now, excuse me, we're not going to bother with pound signs because we know it's all in pounds. Okay, so the amount gained that I'm going to write in this box is the person's net pay. Okay, because we only want to write down how much is actually coming in. Okay, so this person's net pay per month is £1,860. Okay, these amounts can be rounded to the nearest pound, okay, or £10. They don't need to be exact. Now, this is a budget sheet that I've got from an American website because it says government programme in here. I'll be honest, I don't know what that is, so we're just going to leave that box. Okay. Disability benefits would be if you're registered disabled, you get extra payments from the government, or you can get extra payments on the government depending on what work you're able to do. Okay, so the person that we're looking at here is not receiving any disability benefits, so I'm going to put a 0 in that box. Financial support is things like child benefit. It could be any other benefits that you've got coming in. It could be in the case of two people who are both parents but don't live together anymore. It might be that one parent pays the other parent money every month. So that would be financial support. So what I'm going to put in there is child benefit. Okay, and that's £140 a month. Okay. and then any other income would go in that bottom box there. Okay, it might be that somebody gives you money every month, maybe pays you to use something. It might be that you've got something that you rent out, maybe a holiday home or another house or something like that. But we're not putting anything in there. Okay, so our total income here, total income this month, we're going to fill in. Now, I've been fairly careful about how I've put these figures in the columns, so we should just be able to add up. So we've got zeros there. I'm just going to put it the right hand side. Then we've got 6, add 4 is 10. Then 8, add 1 is 9. Add the 1 here, it's also 10. Wow. And then we've got 1, and 1 is 2. So we've got a nice round figure there of £2,000 for the monthly income. Okay, so now we need to work down the right hand side, working out what all these things cost, and then we'll see what happens at the bottom of the page. Okay, so housing, rent or mortgage, that's going to be £530. Okay, utilities, so that's all your energy bills, that's £140 a month. Groceries and other supplies, this one's quite difficult to work out, but I'm going to put 420 in there. Okay, health expenses, so if you pay for any kind of health insurance or things like dental bills, if you know you've got a dentist appointment this month, so I'm going to put a dentist appointment in here for a checkup and a fill-in that comes to £90. Okay, transportation would be obviously transport costs, but if you drive a car, you've got petrol or diesel, or electricity if you've got an electric car. You've got road tax, you've got car insurance. So we've got to sort of add up all those things together. So that's going to come to £230. Okay. Education and childcare. So if you in a family, if you pay, for example, for a childminder or a nursery, that kind of thing, but I'm going to put a 0 in that box. Okay. So mobile phone, I'm going to put £42 in there. Internet and cable, I'm going to put £39 in here. Service animals and pets, so that would be if you've got vet insurance, for example, I'm going to put £15 in there. Now, debt payments would be if you've got a loan for, that could be any one of a number of things. It could be a loan for a car, like we looked at the HP payments. It could be loans for a new sofa or new windows in your house or whatever. So these debt payments are £368 every month. Okay, now we've got this space at the bottom here for other spending. So the thing that I've noted in particular here is Christmas and birthdays, but also what's missing from this list is insurance. Okay, house insurance. So I'm going to put that in with the utilities. Okay, so I'm going to add the insurances, and they come to £72 altogether. Okay, now other spending. So this is for the month of June. So we're not going to put anything in for Christmas there, but there are 3 birthdays in June that we need to buy presents for, and that's going to come to £60. Okay, so what we're going to do now is add all of this up. So we're just going to use a calculator to add this up. it's very, very easy when you've got a big long list of numbers to make a mistake when you're putting these in. So I'm just going to quickly add all this up with a calculator. You can do the same. I'm up to 90 now, 230, 42, 39, 15, and 368, and 60. All right, so that comes to £2,006. Now, we've got a bit of a problem here, haven't we? Because when we fill in this bit, total income this month, £2,000, minus total spending this month, £2,006, that leaves us minus £6. Okay, so we are in this situation. If your expenses are more than your income, look at your budget to find expenses to cut. Okay, so let's look again at this and see where we could cut money. Okay, so looking through this is a proper thing that you have to do when you're running a house. You do need to look at what you've got in, what you've got coming in, what you've got going out, and see, make sure you can live, make sure you're not in the minus at the end of the month. Okay, right. Most people can't choose how much they pay a month for their rent. Okay, but if you own your own home, you do have options with your mortgage. Okay, a mortgage is a loan for a house that you can choose how long you take it for, and the longer you take to pay back the house loan, the mortgage, the lower your repayments will be, but the more you end up paying in the end. Okay, so if we really needed to, we can look at this and we could maybe go to the bank and say, is there a cheaper way of doing this every month? Okay, this one here, we can't really change how much the gas and electricity, etc. We can't change how much those companies are charging us, but we could cut down on what we use. Okay, we could, well, it's June, so probably won't have the heating on anyway, but you could make sure, I've mentioned this before, that every time you leave a room you make sure the light's off. You can make sure that you're not leaving the telly on. Don't charge things past 100%. All these things can be just all small things that can make a little bit of difference. And remember, we're not needing to make a huge difference because we're only minus £6, but it might be the case that we can cut down on how much fuel we use in our house. We can't change how much the insurance costs if we're during the year, but every year you get the chance when you have to renew your insurance, you can look and you can shop around and go to different companies. So if the renewals were coming up, you could maybe do something about this number. Okay, right. What about groceries and other supplies? Can we change that? Well, we can. This is probably going to be the place where we can make the most difference. Okay, if you switch to cheaper brands, it means that you will have a little bit extra left over at the end of the month. It might mean, for example, if there's something that you really like, that you don't have it all the time, maybe cut down how much of it you eat or drink or use. Okay, so this number here definitely is a place where we can look at cutting some money from that. Okay, like I say, cheaper brands. It might be that you think the cheaper brands are just awful and not worth it, or you might try a cheaper brand and go, actually, I don't know the difference, or I prefer this one. But it's always worth trying. Okay, health expenses. You've got to look after yourself, and if you need your teeth looking at and if you need a filling, you've got to have that done. You shouldn't be skimping on things like that, because it's going to cost you more in the end, and it might mean that you are in pain. Okay. Transportation. This is something that could perhaps be cut down a little bit, because you could choose not to use the car as much. Okay. It might mean that you're trips to the shops or trips to see people, if you were planning those a bit better, you might be combining them so you're not using so much petrol. So we could make a little bit of a saving here. Cell phone, if you're tied into a contract there's nothing you can do about it. Internet and cable, again, if you're tied into a contract, there's nothing you can do about that, but when it's up for renewal, you should make sure you're on the best deal possible. This was for pet insurance, and if you're paying your pet insurance, you know that you're going to be covered if there's a problem with your pet, and we know vets bills can be horribly expensive. Okay, so that's up to individual households to choose whether they think that's worth it. The debt payments you can't change. Okay, if you've got a car on HP or a sofa or windows or anything like that, you're committed to paying that. But here's this other spending. And remember, we talked about there being birthdays this month that we need to buy presents for. Okay, is it possible that you could shop around and spend less on the presents? Is it possible that you could make a card instead of buying a card? You know, these, like I say, small things that when they all add up, they make quite a difference. Okay, so we can see that we can squeeze some of these, not all of them, but because we're only £6 short, we can make that £6 up. We can find that £6 from savings that we can make. Okay, and remember the main places for doing that were in the groceries, possibly in the transportation, in the other spending. Okay, so that's mostly where we can find some savings. But like I say, we're only a little bit short, so we don't need to find too much, but we don't want to get to the end of the month and not have enough. Okay, so the question that we were going to think about was, so can we afford the new car and the holiday? Well, at minus £6 left over this month, then the answer to that is going to be no, isn't it? But these numbers will not be the same every month. Okay, it might be if you do a job where you are able to work overtime, it might mean that you need to work more hours. Okay, maybe just working 2 or 3 more hours a week would make the difference between you managing your money for that month and not. Okay, it also means if you do work in a job where you get different amounts each month, if you get more one month, it's worth putting that money away and saving it for a month when you work in fewer hours. Okay, so that's all we're going to do today, and we remember off tomorrow, homework due on Tuesday, but I'll see you on Monday for our next money lesson. See you later.